Have you noticed how your mind can hold 1,000 thoughts in 1 hour and still fail to hold on to one thing that actually matters? You sit down to work, you open the tab. You tell yourself this time will be different. 10 minutes later, you are somewhere else. Not physically, psychologically, pulled into a message, a memory, a random urge, a new idea, a sudden wave of boredom. And the disturbing part is not that you got distracted. It is how easily you got stolen from yourself. Because focus is not just about productivity. It is about power. The ability to direct your own mind instead of living at the mercy of whatever is loudest, newest, or most emotionally addictive. Most people think they have an attention problem. What they really have is a control problem. Their mind is no longer fully theirs, and if you do not understand the psychology behind that, you can spend years trying to be disciplined while slowly becoming easier and easier to break. Focus is one of the most misunderstood forces in human behavior. People treat it like a skill you either have or do not have. Like some people were born sharp and others were born scattered, but attention is not fixed. It is trained, hijacked, conditioned, rewarded, punished, and above all, it follows meaning. Your brain is always asking one brutal question beneath the surface. Why should I stay here? Why this task? Why now? Why this discomfort? If the answer feels weak, your attention leaks, not because you are lazy, because your mind does not commit to what it does not emotionally believe in. That is why so many people fail at focus before they even begin. They try to force concentration on a life they are not psychologically connected to. They sit in front of work that feels abstract, delayed, cold, and endless. Then they blame themselves when their attention escapes toward something easier. But the brain is not stupid. It moves toward what feels rewarding, urgent, novel, and emotionally loaded. A notification has all of that. Deep work usually has none of it at the start. So the first battle of focus is not against distraction. It is against emotional emptiness. There was a student who used to sit at his desk every night with real intention. He was not unserious. He was scared of failing. He wanted to do well. But every study session collapsed the same way. He would read 2 pages, check his phone, come back, open another tab, then suddenly feel tired. For a long time, he thought the problem was willpower. But when he described what studying felt like, the real issue appeared. He said it felt like staring into a wall that gave nothing back. No immediate progress, no emotion, no sense of movement. His phone, on the other hand, gave him tiny rewards every few seconds. Newness, relief, stimulation, escape. He was not choosing distraction because he loved wasting time. He was choosing the only thing in the room that made his nervous system feel alive. This is where the psychology turns darker. In the modern world, your attention is not merely wandering. It is being hunted. Entire systems are designed around one truth. A distracted person is easier to control, easier to sell to, easier to manipulate, easier to keep shallow. If you can never hold your mind still, you can never think deeply enough to challenge the life you are living. You will react instead of reflect, scroll instead of examine, consume instead of create. And over time, that shapes identity. Because whatever repeatedly captures your attention starts training your character. That is why laser-like attention is not built by yelling at yourself to focus harder. It begins with understanding that focus is not a moment. It is an environment. It is a relationship. It is a nervous system state. If your environment is chaotic, your mind will fragment. If your inner world is unresolved, your attention will keep fleeing toward avoidance. If your body is overstimulated, exhausted, or anxious, concentration will feel unnatural. So when people ask how to focus, they often expect a trick. But the answer is more uncomfortable. You do not build focus by adding one magical habit. You build it by removing everything that keeps teaching your brain to abandon the present. The first thing to understand is that attention follows friction and reward. Whatever is easier to start and faster to reward will usually win. That means deep focus requires a deliberate reversal of your normal setup. You have to make distraction harder and focus easier, not morally, mechanically. If your phone is within reach, your brain will negotiate with it. If 10 tabs are open, your mind will keep glancing sideways. If your workspace is linked to entertainment, your brain will associate that space with switching, not staying. Discipline matters, but structure matters more. The strongest minds do not rely on constant self-control. They reduce the number of times self-control is needed. A writer once described how he could work for hours in a library but barely survive 20 minutes at home. Same person, same intelligence, same goals, different psychological cues. At home, his brain had learned that every small discomfort could be answered with escape. Kitchen, couch, music, messages, random searching. In the library, those escape routes disappeared. His focus did not suddenly become heroic, it became possible. That is a crucial difference. Many people do not have a broken mind. They have built a life where concentration has no chance. But environment is only one layer. The deeper enemy is internal resistance. Sometimes the reason you cannot focus has nothing to do with technology. It has to do with what the task activates inside you. Focus becomes difficult when the work threatens your ego. If writing means confronting how average your first draft is, you may suddenly feel distracted. If studying reminds you how behind you are, your attention may run. If building a business forces you to face uncertainty, your brain may crave easier pleasures. In this sense, distraction is often emotional self-protection. It is not random. It is a defense mechanism. Your mind wanders away from what makes you feel inadequate, exposed, or powerless. That is why people can focus for 3 hours on someone else's crisis, a relationship obsession, or a meaningless online rabbit hole, but not on their own future. Emotion grips attention. The question is not whether you can focus. The question is what your mind has been trained to find psychologically irresistible. Fear can focus you. Desire can focus you. Shame can focus you. Curiosity can focus you. Purpose can focus you. But vague obligation rarely can. So if you want laser-like attention, you need something stronger than vague obligation. You need a reason that your nervous system can feel, not a polite goal, not a generic statement, a real reason, a sentence that hits something deep inside you. I need to master this because I am tired of living half awake. I need to finish this because my future keeps getting delayed by my own fragmentation. I need to learn how to stay because everything in my life gets weaker when my mind keeps running away. Focus becomes more stable when it stops being a task and becomes part of your identity. Not I am trying to concentrate. I am becoming someone who does not abandon what matters. Then comes the next truth people resist. Attention strengthens through boredom, not endless stimulation. Boredom. Because focus is partly the ability to stay with something before it becomes rewarding. Most people have trained themselves out of that capacity. The second a moment feels flat, they reach for input, music, scrolling, video, conversation, noise. They never let the mind settle into sustained contact with one thing long enough for depth to emerge. But depth usually arrives after restlessness, not before it. The first 10 minutes are often ugly. Your brain twitches, complains, looks for exits. Then if you remain, something changes. The mind stops skimming the surface and starts entering. A designer described this perfectly. He said the hardest part of creative work was the first 20 minutes. when every part of him wanted to do something else. But if he endured that phase without checking anything, his mind would eventually lock in. Hours could pass. He would not feel trapped anymore. He would feel absorbed. That shift is what many people never reach, because they keep interrupting the doorway. They interpret initial discomfort as proof they are not focused, when actually it is the beginning of focus training. This means one of the most powerful ways to build attention is to rebuild your tolerance for unentertained existence. Sit without grabbing your phone. Walk without audio for a while. Work in silence sometimes. Let a thought finish before replacing it. These sound small, but psychologically they are radical now. They teach the brain that presence is survivable, that nothing terrible happens when stimulation drops. And once the brain stops panicking at stillness, sustained attention becomes less unnatural. Another mistake people make is confusing intensity with consistency. They wait to feel mentally powerful before doing focused work. But laser-like attention is not built in rare, heroic bursts. It is built through repeated proof. Proof that you can begin when you do not feel like it. Proof that you can stay past the first urge to leave. Proof that you can return after drifting without turning one lapse into an identity crisis. The brain learns from repetition. Every time you come back, you strengthen a circuit. Every time you surrender instantly, you strengthen a different one. This is why shame destroys focus. When people fail to concentrate, they often attack themselves. I have no discipline. My brain is ruined. I always waste time. But shame collapses attention inward. It turns the mind into a courtroom, and a mind busy defending itself cannot fully attend to anything else. A better response is colder and more effective. Notice, reset, continue. No drama, no self-hatred, just return. In psychology, what you repeat under emotion gets reinforced faster. If distraction is always followed by guilt and chaos, the entire process becomes heavier. If distraction is followed by calm redirection, you train recovery. And recovery is part of focus. Maybe the most important part, because no one maintains perfect attention. Even highly disciplined people drift. The difference is that they notice faster and return cleaner. They do not build a story around every lapse. They do not worship the interruption. They just come back. There is also something almost philosophical hidden inside deep focus. When you truly attend to one thing, you temporarily escape the fractured self. The version of you that is constantly comparing, checking, performing, and splitting across 10 identities becomes quieter. For a while, there is only the work, only the page, only the problem, only the movement. That is why focus states often feel strangely peaceful, even when the task is hard. Attention at its highest level is not pressure, it is unity. The mind stops scattering and starts becoming whole. And maybe that is the real reason focus feels so rare now. It is not just difficult, it is threatening to a culture built on fragmentation. A focused person is harder to manipulate, harder to seduce with nonsense, harder to keep emotionally dependent on constant stimulation. They can sit with complexity, they can think beyond impulse, they can build something real. In that sense, attention is not just a work skill, it is a form of psychological freedom. So if you want laser-like attention, stop asking how to force your mind and start asking what keeps teaching it to run. Remove easy escapes. Make the work visible and simple to begin. Build environments that support staying. Expect the first wave of boredom. Stay through it. Tie your focus to something emotionally real. Stop making distraction your identity. Train the return again and again, because every time you reclaim your attention, you reclaim a piece of yourself. In the end, focus is not about staring harder. It is about becoming less available to everything that does not deserve your mind. And that may be one of the deepest forms of self-respect a person can learn. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more. Until next time.